Hello there everybody, welcome to this week's video. In this video I want to talk about something that is very central and very paramount to the Reiki experience, and that is the attunement process. I'm sure many of you are obviously very familiar with the attunement process. Maybe you are a Reiki practitioner and you're giving attunements, or maybe you are a student and you are receiving attunements, maybe even just receiving your first attunement. And if that's so, congratulations and welcome to the beautiful journey that is Reiki. So with this discussion on the attunements, one thing that I'm constantly coming back to is the idea of what is happening in an attunement. And the question I want to position here for this week's video is rather a challenge to the way that we view the attunement process, right? So hear me out. I'm not saying that this is factual. I'm not saying like, this is written in stone. It's just my belief. But I think that there's something that's worth discussing here. Quite often we hear the attunement process as the ability for the teacher to open up something in the student, or to expose them to something greater than what they currently are. Now, to me, that goes directly against all of the practices of Reiki. It even goes against the actual definition of what Reiki is. Reiki is universal energy, right? So if it's the energy of all things, then I can't expose you to something that you already are. If you've worked with me, or if you're one of my students, or you've been on my retreats or seen me in person, you've heard me talking about this for a long time now. And I think that we need to understand the attunements from this lineage, or from this mindset, because it helps us to bring a more quiet practice to the attunement in many ways, right? It allows us to take that baggage off of the experience, both from the student perspective and the teacher, by the way. It takes away the pretense, right, or the story. Now, I definitely think that the beginning student, they might really need that story, right? They might really need this idea that they're getting upgraded or exposed to a higher frequency of energy, or whatever it may be. That's fine. If they need to believe that to find out something more true about themselves, I think that's okay. But I would encourage teachers to not be discussing attunements in that way. The main focus of Shimpuden, of the master level of Reiki, is Ansen Ritsumi, the still mind, or a neutral mind. So if we're going into an attunement practice with the understanding that I'm going to do something to you in order for you to gain something truer about yourself, then that automatically goes against Ansen Ritsumi. That means my mind is busy. I'm occupying it on a belief that I can do this for the individual, right? And I'm staying stuck in that story over and over and over again. And I'm staying stuck in the belief that the ritual that I've somehow learned, or has been passed on to me, is going to elicit the same experience in the individual, right? So here's the way that I would posit this experience for this video. And maybe it's just a line of interpretation or introspection that you can utilize on your own journey. To me, it makes things feel a lot more natural, I think is the right way to put it. Not more like natural, but just more effortless. Yeah, I think more effortless is the way to say it. What if we view the person, it's even giving me chills. That's funny. It's giving me chills literally right now to say that. Okay, so I don't know if you're going to be able to see that. You probably can't, but it gives me chills. So it must be on to something. So what if we see the student who is seated in front of us in the attunement? What if we view them as our teacher? What if every student that's coming to us is actually a way for us to practice our own Ansen Ritsumi, right? What if we can engage in the attunement process with the individual in front of us as a ritual of our own internal stillness, right? And I think this is a really beautiful way to look at it, because one begats the other, right? If my space inside my mind and my body are quiet and still and relaxed, then that neutrality of the self will become the neutrality of all things, because it is daikomyo. It is the energy of the universe. The energy of the universe, by definition, is neutral, right? So if I can simply reside in the attunement process without my mind working, or hopefully more so in Ansen Ritsume, if I can stay in that practice, then my natural stillness will be felt by the individual, right? When you have a neutral environment and a chaotic environment, the chaos will automatically and always come to the neutrality, right? So if I can be the stillness and the peace in this attunement ritual, then the person who might think, oh, I'm going to get upgraded, I'm going to get level 1, this is going to be so amazing, I'm going to learn Reiki, I've wanted to do this, I'm so excited. That's awesome. I hope you are excited for Reiki, because it's so beautiful, right? So that excitement is the honesty of the student wanting to learn, right? And what they're hopefully trying to learn is stillness. So if their excitement can help them walk closer to the hopeful stillness that I am exuding in the attunement process, then they will feel that, and that stillness will become a part of their experience, and hopefully the entire experience in and of itself, right? So if I view the person that is seated in front of me as my teacher, then it's really a stage for me to see how quiet I can be, right? It's an opportunity. I love this because I say this all the time. Like, everybody that I teach, all of my students, I view them as my teachers. Everything that I see in this world, I view as an opportunity for me to learn, because everything is a reflection of the self, right? So everybody who comes to me, it's almost a test to see how refined my teaching actually is, and how honest it is, and how much aligned to the precepts it is. And if we think about the attunement ritual in that same regard, then we can think about this as a practice not of giving something to somebody else, but actually of witnessing a refined level of peace within inside the self. If we can find Ansen Ritsume during our attunement process, then what else is there, right? Isn't that the attunement process? Isn't that the ritual of it? Isn't that the beauty of this connection to Daikomyo and to the energy of all things? So maybe a way to reverse our understanding of the attunement process here and just bring a little bit of peace into the practice. I hope it helps everybody. I hope it helps your practice. I hope it helps your journey with Reiki. As always, to each and every one of you, be well and In Gassho.